Hello, 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 community. How are you? Jenenne Macklin here. It is Tuesday. How are you? Yep, that's a question to you, each and every one of you. How are you? How are you feeling? How are your days? How's your self-care? How's your money management? How's your heart? That's what I want to ask you today, is how is your heart? There's so much that's going on in the world, so much that's impacting us. I have to say the energy doesn't feel as heavy as is weighted down as it did, I want to say last week or the week before. Just a moment. So how does the energy feel for you, where you are, whatever state you're living in? Several weeks ago, unknowingly, I had said this was a health crisis and it was a heart crisis, just because our hearts were so full with so many different emotions. There was anger, there was frustration, there was disappointment. And so over the time, each day, as things shift and change, I figure our emotions and our feelings shift and change too. So I just want to know, how are you feeling? Have you found a way to be centered in the midst of what may feel like a storm, and I keep calling it transformation? Have you found a way to stay centered and to center yourself so you're not like tossed back and forth and here and there, because topics are going to come up. And the way we do it in this country, obviously, is we talk about it. So the conversation right now that's creating some uncomfortableness is the conversation around defunding the police. And while that's a simple statement, defund the police, that's the end result. We have a long journey to go to and go through to get to what that's going to look like. We know we need police. We also know that the average policeman isn't making $90,000 a year, at least last I checked. But it's, how do we have accountability more than anything else? How is there going to be accountability? And the reason why I think so many people are saying defund the police is because, do your research. Look within your own state to see how much your police force has in its budget. And the amount of money in the budgets for the police force is enormous. So since our day-to-day cops who are around us and with us on, throughout the day aren't getting $90,000 to $100,000, then we know they're not getting the bulk of that money. So where is all of the money going that the police force has? Where is all that money going that's been given to the police department? So that's what the conversation is. So calm down if everyone's like, oh my God, we're not going to have police. What are they doing? It's really a step-by-step process, but it's a conversation we want to begin to have, which is, what are we doing with all the money that's going to this department and we're getting the treatment that we're getting? Who is actually getting the money? So that is what that's about. So try your best not to be up at arms with it or being upset or mad or angry about it. It is the factor that is impacting us more than anything else, is the brutality. That's what Kaepernick took the knee for. But underlying it all is the conversation around racism. And I asked you where your heart is because oftentimes we have a tendency to look out there at them to see what they're doing and how they're treating us and what they're saying. But really what I want us to do is turn within our own hearts. As a people, I don't recognize us as being that racist. I really see us as a meek, mild, wonderful, amazing group of people. So you still want to check, though, because, you may have gotten pissed off over the last few years, to see what's happening in your heart. How does your heart feel about the state of the world? I can't even say America. How does your heart feel about the person that looks different than you when you see them getting on the bus or getting on the train or when you walk into a restaurant? Oftentimes we live with our guards up. Oftentimes we just live like scanning the perimeter to see, okay, are we okay? How are things? It's just something I think we do just naturally. It's just a skill that we've developed in growing up, particularly if you grew up in a black community like I did. My community was like all black. It was just wonderful. It was yummy. It was great. We argued, fussed and fight, had fun. We knew each other, took care of each other. And you step out of that community and go into the world, then you have to deal with all of the stereotypes and all of the rejections and all of the racism, because you can feel it really just being pushed up against you as soon as you step out of your community and then you get into the world. So what, if any, resentments, disappointments, frustrations, or anger are we holding toward anyone else? Because this would be our time to really examine what those thoughts and feelings are, so we can get really clear on where we do stand. Because what this is calling for all of us to do is to participate in global, national conversations. And they're not the easiest conversations. We have to be willing to hear what others are saying that we've probably heard before and that we don't even like about some of the things that may happen with our people in our community. And others have to be willing to hear what it's like for us. Of course, there'll be people who say, so what? Just deal with it or go back to Africa. We've heard that for years. But there will be people who will say, tell me more. Tell me how I can support this shift. What is it that I need to look at and be aware of? So how is your heart? Judgment comes to mind. How quickly do you judge? And I'm saying, for the starters, how quickly do you judge yourself? Then how quickly do you judge those around you? And then how quickly is that judgment going out into the world? If it's all white people, gay people, brown people, Native Americans, what are the judgments, if any? Then I want you to look at your sense of compassion. Where is your sense of compassion for those who really don't get it? There's a lot of people in America, after I read one of the posts that I put on my Facebook page that the attorney had written, he was like, most white people don't even have black friends. And some of them, I think the number was like 41%, have no black friends at all. So they have no connection or understanding. And then there was another percentage that he gave. So when you realize that, that means there are people walking around this planet that don't even know who we are, what we're all about. They just know what the news tells them. So it's about us being willing to open our mouths when the opportunity comes to have a conversation and talk with people about, I know you don't understand this. I know your world is, I don't want to say lily white, but it's pretty sterile. So what's being said may rub you the wrong way. You don't even understand why we're saying it and you don't get it. But if they're willing to listen and if they're willing to hear what you have to say, then that's all you want. There's 7 billion people on this planet. We won't change all of them, but if we can heighten awareness, that's what we mean when we say, are you awoke? If we can heighten the awareness around how circumstances are across the board for others, and that it's a systematic process that keeps it that way, then we've done good in raising our awareness. Hi, Vernon. How are you today? You're not angry or frustrated, but you want to know, what did black people do that made whites so angry? You know, I ask that often. A friend of mine was saying that the other day. It's like, you brought us here. We built America. Pretty much had to make it on our own. Didn't get reparations. Didn't get 40 acres and a mule. Put our kids through school. Now some of them are even going to college. They've gone to Spelman, they've gone to Howard, they've gone to Harvard, they've gone to all the top schools. They've proven themselves. One of the top heart specialists in the world is an African American man. So that's my question too. But you know what I think it is, Vernon? I think it's the remnants of our history. That's what it is. It's the remnants of our history. Because our history is what our history is, I think a lot of people want to get away from it. A lot of people wish it wasn't coming up all the time. They want it to be a done subject. Let's get it done and over with. Do we have to keep talking about reparations? Do we have to keep talking about black folks? Do we just have to keep talking about this? It's done and over with. So that can be my only thought. Is, you know how you do, well, you probably don't, we don't know, but you do something that's probably not on the up and up, but it was what was okay for the times, and now it's coming back to haunt you, but you don't want it haunting you. You want it to be like a clean slate. Let's forget about it and move forward. But we can't move forward and forget about it because it's systemic. It's systemic. It's like the pores. No, it's like no, it's like the molecules within our being. How do you take molecules out of the beingness of who we are? So it's systematic. Racism is systematic. It's in the systems of this country, the state, the county, the federal, the government systems. And there's certain, I don't want to say blocks and barriers, but blocks and barriers in place to make it more difficult for certain people. So I think they're mad at us because this just won't go away. I have to figure back in the 40s, people were talking about it, but maybe it was when Martin and all of them came forward and Malcolm X came forward and the Black Panthers came forward in the 60s that it really exploded onto the planet as a conversation to be had. That was 50s. Well, that's like 60 plus years ago and we're still having the conversation. So I wonder that too. It's like, why are y'all so mad at us? We didn't do anything. We didn't ask to come here. You brought us here and now are resentful that we're here. And resentful that we're asking for some acknowledgement of what was done and then some financial reparations for what was done, how to make that right. And I just think America doesn't want to. America doesn't want to have the conversation. If America could pick up all the black people on the planet probably and send them somewhere that would relieve it, they think. So, I'm not angry. I'm not even frustrated. I just know we've got a long journey ahead. And I know that we as black people will have to make some choices and decisions going forward. As far as if they're marchers, if we have to not walk or not take buses or whatever it may come out of the whole process. We're less angry with them, I think, than they may be with us. All we're saying is give it equal. Whatever everybody has across the board, make it equal across the board for everybody. You're so amazing of an incredible race of white people, then what's the issue? You're going to be better and more superior than us anyway, right? So why isn't everything just equal across the board? Why is there so much effort to slow people down, to deter people, to put people in jail versus an effort to truly, as they used to say, all get along and try and work things out? Absolutely. Of course they want you to forget about slavery because that was at their hands. Yes, I do know some black people had slaves, but I think in the numbers wise, I don't think we had that many. Yeah, they want you to forget slavery, but remember what happened. Every war, War One, War Two, every war they've been in, remember all our vets. Remember what happened in Vietnam. Remember what they did tonight with 9/11. Remember everything about America's history and what's happening to America, but you better forget what's going on with black folks. Because they're not good, they're not of value, they don't contribute to the economy. All they do is take and ask for more. So, it's amazing what's happening on the planet. I couldn't even remember if Malcolm or Martin's presence was felt this way. There's a page on Facebook where a woman outlines everything that has happened since the pandemic and now with the shift focus to our hearts. And it's amazing. There was like Germany and Australia and London and I want to say Lisbon and Sweden. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of the people who are saying we cannot continue to live this way. So that is empowering. That is hopeful for me and hopeful for our children to come and hopeful for this planet, for America. And maybe it can be that America with a capital A that's so strong and that is welcoming to all people. Or maybe it's going to stay as the America that it is right now, which is a small a, which is very small in its actions. So America will have to deal with how come they're so angry with us. I saw a picture of a white woman who spit in a 17-year-old black girl's face. And I thought, what would give you the audacity to think that would be okay? First of all, you're spreading a virus. You don't know if you have a virus or not. How dare you think that a 17-year-old, and you're easily in your 50s or 60s, to do that would be appropriate? But that's the pieces that we're looking at that we have to look at and challenge. And they have to ask themselves that. I would have loved to have asked her that. How come you thought that was okay? What did that mean for you? What did that do for you? Well, I'm just saying, I know. I'm just saying what the conversation is. They've built this this image of us as lazy, that we don't do anything, we just want to take. And yet we have some of the most incredible, powerful minds on the planet that are African American. So it's the rhetoric and the narrative that some people just don't want to change. But I want us to be clear in what we're doing, what we're saying, what we're thinking, the energy and the vibration we're holding as we go forward on this journey, because we will be in this with the 6-month mark for June for this year. We've got 6 more months to go, and you can trust and believe we will be as active in August and in October as we are now, because that's what it's going to require. So how's your heart? If you're angry, I told people, go find those old dishes that you don't like, go to a parking lot and break them and get that anger out. I'm not saying replace it with love, but I need you to have enough of a focus to be mindful in what you're doing, what you're thinking, and the actions you either are or are not going to take. If you're not a protester, my son and I are going out again this Friday, there is a letter writing campaign that's going on that you may find more value in. Are you writing letters? And can you and will you be willing to write letters? So I'm going to put that on the Facebook page below to have that for you as well. You can be part of the writing campaign. I have a colleague of mine, a peer who's doing a writing campaign. She said she's got 70 people. She pulled in white folks. She said, I want 10 of my white friends to come and join me to write to, you have to know the particular legislature, but she's writing to Attorney General Barr, because you want to write to the legislative level that actually hires the police. So you could do that. You can also donate, $7, $5, or $10 to someone's campaign if marching isn't something that you want to do. Or you could stay at home and hold an incredible prayer visual with you and that infinite power and presence that you call God, life, the universe, Allah, Shahweh, Shakti, God, Jesus, all the different names, and hold a prayer visual for an hour every day in your home, sending wonderful energy and vibration to the planet, praying for everyone, because God created all of us, so God's taking care of all of us. You could do that. I know they've got a protest coming. I think it's tomorrow, or is it today, or did I miss it? But there are other ways that you can get in where you're not on the front line or where you may feel like you're being exposed to the virus. I just left the doctor's office to get a pair of glasses. I don't know what this is, if you're wondering. I woke up with it. And there's no more waiting room in the doctor's office. And put on my mask, and when I went to the counter, she took my temperature. I thought, yay, now I can see, because I was coughing. But I know my coughing is from my allergies. My temperature was 97.1. So that's what I experienced. Look forward to those kind of experiences yourself as you go forward. But stay connected to how's your heart? How are you feeling? How's your judgment for yourself, for others, even for the president? What's all the judging for? He is who he is. He's been doing it for 3 years. Let it go. And then check into your compassion. What about your own sense of forgiveness for your own self, for a variety of things? Or just forgiveness for this country and its, I don't want to say ignorance, but its unwillingness, it seems, to let go of this narrative around black folks and slavery and less than and not good enough. Pray for that consciousness, that energy that still continues to be on this planet, not as much as it used to be, certainly being impacted now, but it's still there. And then just go on and live your life. Just go ahead and live your life, doing whatever you can to bring greater awareness to the relationships that we really do have on this planet that are out of alignment, that are harmful and hurtful to others. And we're talking about police brutality. The Black Lives Matters, we're focusing on us because there's so many of us, but it's across the board. It's across the board. The gentleman we all saw be pushed down by the police, who they say was an agitator. Even if he was an agitator, that man was tall, so he had to be like 6'5", 6'6", and they just pushed him and he fell all the way back and hit his head. No one deserves that. White, brown, yellow, green, purple. Let's let go of the numbers and the colors, and let's focus on the fact that we're one. We're one that God named as humanity, and that's where we want to stand. So hopefully this continues to keep you motivated, keep you focused in your life on this journey. We're going to be on it for a minute. Be sure to do your self-care. I'm going to go ahead and put some ice on this when I get back home. The whole eye area needs to be closed. And do your self-care. Tap within you. Know that you can always send wonderful vibes out to the planet and to the universe, because that's what this is all about, is our energy and our vibration. And know that change is happening. Change happens slowly, because ultimately this change that we're talking about has to happen in the hearts of humanity. And sometimes those hearts are turned closed for a variety of different reasons that we don't even know, which is why the conversations and talking to each other becomes so imperative. I agree with what Michelle said years ago on her bottle that I got when I went to see her speak. Tell me your story. Because when I hear someone's story, it touches my heart. So any barrier I may have, that story slowly breaks it down, eases that barrier to the point that it drops. And the more we're willing to have that conversation, to hear other stories, the more we're going to find out how we're more alike than we are apart, how we're more connected than we think we are apart. Take good care. Have a great day. Take care, Vernon. The rest of you that come on later, I'm here to motivate you, to empower you, to inspire you to take action in the midst of the storm, to get to the center of the storm and be still. I'm also here wanting to have this as a conversation and an interaction. So that is why I say to you, when you come back on afterwards, please put hashtag replay and let me know what state you're in. Hashtag replay, let me know your thoughts and your ideas so I'll know where we are in the world together. In the meantime, take good care. I look forward to hearing from you. Go eat another bowl of Fruit Loops, my dear. Have a great day. And don't forget that macaroni and cheese. Bye for now.